Jace was just a cleaner, a human worker on a cold alien prison ship. He didn't have a rank, he didn't have a voice. He only had one job, clean and stay silent. The alien guards didn't speak to him. They only barked orders. He followed them like a ghost. No one noticed him. No one cared. But today was different. Today he was sent to Sector 7. It was dark, cold, and full of shadows. Even the guards didn't like to go there. They warned him, "Clean fast, no noise, and do not touch any locked cell." Jace nodded, but his heart beat faster. He walked down the empty hallway, his boots echoing on the metal floor. He passed empty rooms, broken lights, strange humming sounds. And then he heard it, a whisper, very soft, almost like a breath. "Please." Jace froze. "Please. I'm begging you. Untie it." The voice was coming from a locked cell. A red light glowed on the door. It meant danger. Jace knew he should walk away, but something inside pulled him closer. He placed his hand on the scanner. The door didn't open, but the light turned from red to yellow. A voice spoke again, weak, shaking. "Don't leave, please." Jace looked through the small window in the door. Inside he saw a girl. She was not fully alien, and not fully human. Her skin was pale, her eyes glowing blue. Her arms were tied above her head with a glowing silver chain. She looked weak, tired, but her eyes were filled with pain. "What is this place?" Jace whispered. The girl looked at him. "You can hear me," she said, her voice soft. "No one else can." Jace felt cold sweat on his back. "This cell, it's blocked from the system," she said. "I'm not supposed to exist." Jace stepped back. I'm just a cleaner," he said. "I'm not allowed here, but you came," she replied. "You were sent here for a reason." Jace shook his head. "No, it's just work." She pulled on the chain, her face twisting in pain. "This chain, it's not just metal," she said. "It's a lock on my soul." Jace looked at her. The chain was glowing, alive. It pulsed like a heartbeat. It wrapped around her wrists, her arms, and even her chest. He had never seen anything like it. "If I untie it, I'll die," he whispered. "No," she said. "If you untie it, you'll live." Jace's hands trembled. He remembered the law. Never touch a chained being. Never open a red cell. Never break the rules. But he also remembered her eyes. They were not evil. They were full of pain. "And something else, hope. I don't know your name," he said. "You can call me Evelyn," she whispered. "And you are?" "Jace," he replied, his voice quiet. "Jace," she said. "I've been waiting for you." Jace stepped closer. The chain seemed to glow brighter, as if it could feel him. "Please," Evelyn said again. "If you walk away now, I will disappear." He touched the chain. It was warm, not like metal, more like skin. He felt a pulse like it was alive. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. "Warning, soul link detected. Breaking this chain will destroy law." His heart raced. He looked at Evelyn. She was crying now. Tears fell down her face, glowing like stars. "I don't want to die here," she said. "I don't want to be forgotten." Jace closed his eyes. He didn't want to be a hero. He didn't want to break the law. He didn't even want to be here, but something deep inside told him. This was not a mistake, this was fate. He placed both hands on the chain. It burned his skin, pain shot through his arms. But he didn't let go. Evelyn screamed, not in fear, but in release. The chain cracked. Light exploded from it like lightning. The wall shook, the alarm screamed red. Jace fell to his knees, breathing hard. The chain shattered, turning into dust. Evelyn fell too, her body shaking. But she was smiling. "You did it," she whispered. "You freed me." Jace looked up. The door behind him was opening. Footsteps fast and heavy, guards were coming, and now everything had changed. Jace couldn't breathe. Smoke filled the cell. Red lights flashed everywhere. He looked at Evelyn, who lay on the floor, her hands free, her chains broken. She was glowing, softly. Like moonlight, her eyes were closed, but her lips were smiling. Jace had no time to think. The hallway behind him shook with footsteps. Alien guards were coming, fast. Armed and angry. "Get up," Jace said, pulling Evelyn's arm, but she didn't move. Her body was hot like fire. Burning from the inside, the chain was broken. But something had awakened with it. Something old, powerful, and hungry. Suddenly, the door behind Jace burst open. 2 alien guards stepped in, pointing electric spears at him. But when their eyes landed on Evelyn, they froze. One of them whispered, It's her. The other dropped to one knee. Forgive us, Princess, he said, voice trembling. We didn't know. Jace was stunned, Princess. She was a prisoner, not royalty. Or so he thought. Avalyn slowly opened her eyes. The glow in them was brighter now. Like two small stars, she stood up, her feet steady. Her voice calm. No one knew, she said. That's how they kept me hidden. Jace stepped back, confused and scared. What is going on? He asked, why are they bowing? Avalyn looked at him. Because you broke the unbreakable, she said. No one has ever touched that chain and lived. And now? It lives inside you. Jace's hands were still red from the burn. His chest hurt, like something was growing there. Something not human. The guards looked at him with fear. You touched the soul chain, one said. You are bound to her now. Jace shook his head. I didn't mean to, he said. I was just trying to help. Avalyn stepped closer. But you did help, she said, and now? You're part of something much bigger. Suddenly a voice crackled over the speaker system. All units to Sector 7, emergency lockdown, repeat. Emergency lockdown, the guards stood up. We must leave now, one said. If the High Command finds her, they'll kill everyone in this block. Jace didn't understand. Why would they kill a princess? He asked. Avalyn looked down. Because I'm not just a princess, she said. I'm the last heir of the lost bloodline. Jace stared at her, confused. What does that mean? She touched her wrist and a small round symbol appeared. It was like a sun. But broken in half, this mark, she said, was banned thousands of years ago. My ancestors were called traitors, monsters, rebels. They believed in peace and the Empire didn't. Jace suddenly felt very small. He was just a cleaner. Now he was running with a space princess wanted by the entire galaxy. One guard handed her a small black cube. Your powers are returning, he said. But they'll come in waves. You must rest soon. Jace looked at her again. She was no longer weak. She stood tall, proud, her voice calm. But her eyes still held pain. Why was the chain placed on you? He asked. Avalyn turned to him. It wasn't just to hide me, she said. It was to seal my soul. My powers are not fully mine. They are borrowed from something ancient. Jace swallowed hard. And now that I broke it? Avalyn nodded. You broke the law of the stars, she said. They will hunt you. Jace looked down at his burned hands. He didn't regret helping her. But fear was crawling into his chest. What do we do now? He asked. Avalyn smiled. We run, she said. We run until I remember everything. The guards opened a secret door behind the cell. It led to a narrow tunnel filled with steam and shadows. This way, one said. Before the alarms reached the commanders, Jace followed. His heart pounding. He could feel something inside him changing, like a whisper in his blood, calling to something far away. As they ran through the tunnel, Avalyn slowed down. She looked at him. You don't know it yet, she said, but your blood is not just human. Jace blinked. Confused, what are you talking about? She didn't answer. Instead, she said, You didn't just break my chain. You broke the lock on your own story. Jace had no answer. But deep inside, a memory stirred. A voice he didn't remember hearing before. A whisper that said, the chain was never hers alone. As they reached the end of the tunnel, the ground began to shake. Above them, explosions rocked the prison ship. The Empire had arrived. Avalyn looked at Jace. It's time to run, Chainbreaker. And together they disappeared into the darkness. The night sky was dark above the burning prison ship. Small pieces of fire floated through the air like stars that had lost their way. Jace ran beside Avalyn, his breath heavy, his arms still burning from the chain. Behind them, the alarms cried across the metal halls, but ahead there was only silence. They reached a docking bay. A small ship waited there, old and half-broken. This thing can't fly, Jace said, panting. Avalyn smiled weakly. It doesn't need to fly, she said. It just needs to fall in the right direction. Before Jace could ask what that meant, she placed her glowing hand on the control panel. The engines roared to life, glowing the same color as her eyes. For a moment, the entire hangar shook. Then, the ship lifted, turned, and shot into the cold black of space. Inside, everything was shaking. Jace held the seat, trying not to throw up. The ship jumped through the clouds of fire, leaving the prison ship behind. But even as they escaped, Jace could feel something wrong. Like something inside him was watching, waiting, whispering. When the ship finally stopped shaking, Evelyn leaned back, her face pale. You use too much power, Jace said. I'll survive, she replied softly. I've done this before. Long ago, Jace looked at her. Who are you really? He asked. You said you're a princess, but the guards were afraid of you. Evelyn's eyes met his. They weren't afraid of me, she said slowly. They were afraid of what I carry. Jace frowned. What do you mean? Evelyn turned her hand and showed him a mark glowing under her skin. Half of it looked human, soft light lines. The other half looked alien, sharp and cold. This is why they call me half-blood, she said. My father was the emperor of the Vorn Empire. My mother was a human from Earth, Jace stared. His mind spinning. That's impossible, he said. No human has ever met the emperor. Evelyn smiled, but her eyes were sad. That's what the Empire wants everyone to believe. They erased her name from every record. She loved him, but love was forbidden between species. When I was born, they said I was a curse. Jace felt something break inside him. So they locked you up? He asked. Evelyn nodded slowly. They locked me, not to punish me, but to protect the lie. If the galaxy learned the Emperor had a child with a human, the Empire's purity law would fall apart. Jace looked down at his hands. So that chain was to hide your bloodline. Evelyn's voice turned soft. Yes, but it was also to seal something else. She looked out the window. When I was small, they said the human side of me carried a power. A gift or a curse, and no one knew. They called it the echo of life. Jace blinked. What is that? Evelyn closed her eyes. When someone breaks a soul chain, the echo moves into them, she whispered. It joins their heart, their breath, their blood. And it chooses whether to destroy them or protect them. Jace's breath caught. So, it's inside me now? Evelyn nodded. Yes, she said. And that's why you're still alive. The echo accepted you. Jace didn't know whether to be proud or terrified. He touched his chest. His heart felt strange. It didn't just beat. It hummed like a machine mixed with life. What happens now? He asked quietly. Evelyn looked at him. Now we find the other half of me. Before he could ask, the ship's screen flickered. A hologram appeared, but it was a woman, tall, covered in golden armor. Her voice was cold and sharp. Princess Evelyn of the Lost Bloodline, you have violated the royal lock. You are ordered to surrender or be erased. Evelyn stood, her eyes burning bright. Widow Blade, she said under her breath. Jace looked at her. Who is that? Evelyn's voice was full of steel. The Emperor's favorite killer, she said. She was the one who tied the chain around me. The hologram flickered again. Widow Blade smiled cruelly. You should have stayed chained. Little half-blood. Your power will destroy everything you touch. The message vanished. Leaving silence, Evelyn stood still, shaking slightly. Then she whispered, She's right about one thing. Jace stepped closer. What thing? Evelyn looked at her hands. They were glowing again, brighter and hotter. The echo doesn't only protect, she said. It grows, and when it grows too much, it burns everything around it. Jace grabbed her wrist. Then we'll find a way to stop it, he said. There has to be someone who knows how. Evelyn looked at him, and for a moment there was peace in her eyes. You shouldn't care this much, she said softly. You're human, and I'm something else. Jace smiled faintly. Maybe that's exactly why I care. Evelyn's lips curved into a small, tired smile, but the light from her hands didn't fade. It grew brighter. Suddenly the whole ship shook, alarm screaming. Something's following us, Jace said. Evelyn looked out the window. A shadow in the stars was chasing them. Widow Blade, she whispered. She found us already. The ship dived into the darkness of space, and behind them the hunter came, silent, cold and deadly. The chain was broken, but the real war had just begun. The stars outside the window looked peaceful. But peace was an illusion, because deep behind them, Widow Blade's ship was chasing, fast, silent, deadly. Jace sat at the control panel, trying to learn the strange alien buttons. Where's the speed boost on this thing? He muttered. Evelyn stood behind him, her glowing hands pressed against a round glass screen. Her power was low, her face pale, but her mind sharp. She's using a hunter-class ship, Evelyn said softly. She can track my blood, my breath, even my heartbeat. Jace glanced at her. So we can't run? We can, she whispered. But we need to fall where she can't follow. What does that mean? Jace asked, confused. Evelyn closed her eyes. There's a broken star system nearby, she said. It's like a maze of dead planets, gravity wells, and collapsing moons. Even hunter ships get lost there. That sounds terrible, Jace said. It is, Evelyn replied. That's why it might work. She set the course, and the ship turned sharply, diving into the shadows of the broken system. Behind them, Widowblade followed, her ship sliding into the darkness like a silent shadow. The moment they entered, the stars changed. They no longer shined steady. They flickered like dying candles. The broken planets were floating in pieces, some still burning from ancient wars. Electric storms moved across empty space, and the ship shook as it passed through gravity traps. Hold tight, Evelyn said. Jace gripped the side of the ship. His body tossed as the ship flipped and turned. Suddenly, something hit them. A shockwave from a broken moon. The lights inside their ship went out for 2 seconds, then came back flickering. Damage? Jace asked. Minimal, Evelyn said. But Widowblade is getting closer. Jace looked at the radar. Her ship was moving faster like a shark. Why is she doing this? He asked. She was once your protector. Evelyn nodded slowly. She believed in the Empire, she said, and she believes I'm the crack in its walls. Jace's voice was low. Are you? Evelyn looked at him. I don't know yet, she whispered, but I know the chain inside me was more than a prison. It was a door. Door to what? Jace asked. She looked away. Something ancient, she said. Something the Empire fears more than death. Suddenly, the ship shook hard. Alarm screamed. Evelyn fell, and Jace caught her. A cold voice echoed through the speaker. You can't run from truth, child. You were born to burn. It was Widowblade. Her voice made Jace's skin crawl. She's inside the system, Evelyn said, her voice weak. She's forcing us into a trap. Then let's crash it, Jace said. He took the controls, pushing the ship down into the heart of a broken planet. Cracks in the rock glowed blue, and fire burned across the surface. I see a tunnel, Jace shouted. It leads underground. Evelyn's eyes widened. No one survives down there, she warned. That's the point, he said. If she thinks we're dead, she'll stop chasing. The ship dove into the tunnel. Fire surrounding them. Rocks falling from above. The ship scraped the sides, sparks flying everywhere inside. Evelyn's glow flickered like a dying candle. Her power was fading fast. Almost there, Jace shouted. The ship finally broke through into a giant hollow space deep inside the planet. They crash-landed against the rock. The ship slid and stopped. Broken but alive, smoke filled the cabin. Jace coughed. Evelyn, he called out. She lay on the floor, unconscious. He rushed to her. Lifting her head, her skin was cold. Her glow almost gone. No, he whispered. Not like this. He remembered her words. About the echo of life. That it shared power when needed. That it could protect or destroy. Jace touched her chest and focused. Take my energy, he whispered. If we're linked, take it. A warm light passed from his hand to hers. Her eyes opened, soft at first, then bright again. You gave me part of yourself, she said weakly. He nodded. You're not allowed to die, he said. Not until we break the Empire. A soft laugh escaped her lips. Still trying to be a hero? No, Jace said, smiling. Just keeping promises. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed through the cave, not mechanical, not alien, something older. A deep hum. Like a sleeping machine waking up, Evelyn's eyes widened. This place? It's not dead, she said. It's ancient tech. Jace looked around. Lights were coming on across the walls, symbols glowing in patterns. A round pedestal rose from the center of the floor. What is this? He asked. Evelyn walked toward it slowly. This is one of the old cores, she said, built by the first race to travel the stars. No one remembers them. She touched the pedestal, and it responded. A voice echoed in their minds. Calm, gentle, powerful, chainbreaker detected. Welcome, daughter of the broken line. Jace's heart stopped. Chainbreaker? He whispered. That's me. Evelyn looked at him, her voice soft. You're not just part of my story, she said. You're the key to all of it. Outside, Widowblade circled the broken planet, but deep below something new had begun. Something older than war, something stronger than chains. The ancient core inside the broken planet had given them one gift: a direction. Not a map, not a location, but a feeling. A whisper inside their bones. Evelyn stood still as the glowing pedestal faded into silence. Her hand reached out to touch Jace's. "We must follow it," she said. "Even if it leads to nowhere." Jace didn't understand everything. But he understood her eyes. They no longer looked scared. They looked ready. Back in their damaged ship, the engines groaned. The controls were weak, blinking on and off. But Evelyn used her power like a thread, holding the machine together just long enough to move. They flew in silence through a part of space that didn't exist on maps. There were no stars here, just shadows and silence. Even space itself felt heavier. Jace looked at the blackness and whispered, "Are we lost?" Evelyn shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "We're being remembered." Suddenly, the ship stopped, not because of fuel or power, but as if space itself had said enough. Outside the window, a world appeared. It didn't float. It rested. Like an old stone at the bottom of a deep sea, its surface was covered in fog. But through the mist, Jace could see green forests, silver lakes and ruins. "What is this place?" he asked. Evelyn's voice was low, almost shaking. "This is where my mother died." They landed quietly on a soft field of silver grass. The air smelled sweet, like old flowers and rain. Birds, strange and beautiful, flew above them with soft songs. But nothing else moved. No people, no machines, no sounds of life. As they stepped out of the ship, Evelyn's steps became slower. Each step felt heavier, like the ground was testing her. "This planet is not dead," she said. "It remembers pain." They walked through the quiet trees, deeper into the forest. Jace followed closely, always watching her. He could feel it too. Something unseen was watching them. At last they reached a wide circle of stones. In the center stood a tall, broken statue of a woman with her arms out. One side was human, the other alien. Jace looked at it. "Is that her?" Evelyn nodded. "My mother," she said. "Lady Myron of Earth. She gave up everything to protect me." Jace stepped closer. The statue had cracks across the chest. At its feet was a small box made of gold and bone. Evelyn bent down and opened it with a trembling hand. Inside was a letter, still glowing faintly with ancient tech. She read it silently, tears falling from her eyes. Jace stood beside her. "What does it say?" She looked up. "She knew I'd come back," Evelyn said. "She wrote this before they took her. She says the echo inside me was not given. It was chosen by something older than the stars." She reached into the box and pulled out a pendant. It held a piece of the soul chain, but it was black. "Dead. This was the first link," she whispered. "She wore it so they wouldn't find me." Jace reached for it. When he touched it, a strange vision flashed in his mind. He saw a woman, strong, kind, brave, running through fire with a baby in her arms. He saw her hide the baby under a tree and stand to face a group of soldiers alone. He saw her fall and smiling. Jace gasped and let go. "I saw her," he said. "I saw your mother." Evelyn looked at him. "Because you're connected now," she said. The echo was learning. Suddenly the wind changed. The forest went quiet, too quiet. Then the ground shook, and something moved in the trees. Tall figures made of light and shadow stepped out silently. They didn't speak with mouths. Their voices came inside the mind. "Daughter of the broken line," they said. "And the one who broke the chain. Why have you returned?" Evelyn stepped forward, her voice calm. "To remember," she said. "And to ask." The tallest figure nodded. "Then prove yourself," it said. "The echo is not yours yet." Evelyn turned to Jace. "They will test us," she said. Together, Jace didn't move. "And what kind of test?" Before she could answer, the ground opened beneath them, and they both fell into light, into memory, into something not real and not fake. Jace opened his eyes and saw himself standing in a burning city. Screams, fire, chaos, and in front of him, a choice: save one, or save many. Evelyn stood in a different place, a room filled with mirrors, each showing a version of herself. Monster, hero, killer, queen, she had to choose one. They were being judged not by power, but by heart, by pain, by truth, by sacrifice. And deep inside the test, the echo watched silently. Waiting to decide, Ace opened his eyes. His body was on fire, but there were no flames. He stood alone in a ruined city made of broken light. Every building was tall and sharp. Every shadow whispered his name. He turned in circles, calling out, "Evelyn! Evelyn," but only silence answered. This was not a dream, this was the test. And it was showing him something from her memories, or maybe his own. He couldn't tell the difference anymore. Suddenly he saw her. Evelyn was standing in the middle of a burning hallway. Her eyes were wide, her hands glowing. A small girl stood in front of her, crying. Shaking, the girl had chains around her arms. But they were not metal. They were made of light. And they came from inside her. Jace moved forward. "Evelyn, what is this?" He shouted. She didn't hear him. She was frozen. This was her memory. And she was reliving it. The girl on the floor was Evelyn. A younger version, scared, alone, abandoned. And behind her stood soldiers, tall, cold, without faces. They raised their hands to strike. But Evelyn's mother stepped in front of them. Jace gasped. It was the same woman from his earlier vision. "Lady Mirren?" Her voice rang clear through the fire. "If you touch her, I'll unleash the echo." The soldiers paused. But one of them laughed. "The echo has already chosen. It chose to live inside the child." And with that, they dropped their weapons, not to fight, but to bow. Because the girl had begun to glow, her chains cracked, and the sky above shattered like glass. Jace fell back, the vision faded, and suddenly, he was back in the ancient temple. The real Evelyn was on the floor, her body shaking, her breath slow. He rushed to her. "Evelyn, wake up," he whispered. But she didn't open her eyes. Instead, the ancient voice echoed again. "She carries the last chain inside, the one no one can break, except her." Jace looked at her hands. They were glowing black now, not golden. The light inside her was twisting, burning. He realized what was happening. When he broke the first chain, it had moved into her. But this last one was deeper. It was not wrapped around her body. It was fused with her soul. To break it meant to break herself. "No," Jace said. "There has to be another way." But the temple began to crumble, walls shaking, lights flashing. The test was over, and it had one final question. Will you let her die free, or let her live forever in chains? Jace knelt beside her, holding her tightly. "I won't let either happen," he whispered. "There has to be another way." Suddenly, Evelyn's hand grabbed his, her eyes opened, glowing bright and wild. "I can feel it," she whispered, "the last chain. It wants to break, but if it does—" Jace started. She cut him off. "I know," she said. "I'll burn." Jace shook his head. "Then don't do it." But she smiled. "This is what I was born for." She stood slowly, rising like a flame. "I don't need to destroy myself," she said. "I just need to let go." And for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She placed her hands on her chest. And she whispered something ancient, a word that had no translation. But its meaning was clear: freedom. Her body lit up and a scream echoed across the temple. Not from her, but from the chain inside her. It cracked, twisted, and burst into pieces of light. The walls of the temple lit up like stars. And Evelyn fell. Jace caught her. She wasn't glowing anymore. She wasn't cold either. She was alive and completely free. He held her close. "You did it," he said. She nodded weakly. "You helped me." Then her eyes widened. "But you—" "Jace, something's wrong." He looked down. His arms were glowing now, not golden, not black, but a new color, white-blue, soft and powerful. "You didn't just help me break the chain," she whispered. "You took part of it into yourself." Jace didn't feel pain. He felt light. He felt purpose. "What does it mean?" he asked. Evelyn looked at him. "It means you're no longer just human. You're something new." He smiled. "I guess we both are now, above them." The temple began to rise, not crumble, but lift. The old voices spoke again. "The last chain is broken. The air is free. The chain breaker is born." Outside, the stars moved, and far away, Widow Blade felt the shift. Her ship paused, her eyes narrowed. "They did it," she whispered. "And now, nothing will stop them." The stars trembled. Across the galaxy, something had changed. Not a weapon, not a war, but something deeper. The last chain was broken, and the echo of that moment reached every system, every moon, every soul, inside the temple that floated above the unnamed world. Jace stood beside Evelyn. She was weak but smiling. He was glowing but calm. Neither of them were who they used to be. "Can you feel it?" Evelyn asked softly. Jace nodded. "It's like the universe is breathing again." She looked out the open door of the temple. The stars outside were shifting. forming patterns, opening paths. The old ones called this moment the wake, she whispered. The time when old truths rise and false empires fall. Jace looked at his hands, still glowing with white-blue light. It's still inside me, he said. The chain. Evelyn placed her hand on his chest. Not a chain, she whispered. A key. Suddenly, the voice of the temple returned. Chainbreaker, you have been chosen. The gate to the Star Throne is open. Jace turned to Evelyn. What's the Star Throne? Her expression changed. It's not a throne, she said. It's a decision. Then the light around them collapsed into a single beam, shooting them across the galaxy in a blink. 1 second they stood in a temple. The next, they floated in space, surrounded by giant machines that spun around a pulsing star. This was the Starforge, the place where laws were written not by kings but by history, a seat of ancient power left behind by the first ones, the beings who created the echo, the chains, and the code of balance. A shape appeared before them, not a person but a living idea, tall, glowing, without form, without voice, yet when it spoke, both Jace and Evelyn felt it inside their minds. One must sit, the voice said. One must lead. One must protect. Jace looked at Evelyn. She looked at him, and then they both said, not just one. The voice paused. A silence filled the stars. Never have two shared the throne, it said. Never have a half-blood and a chain-breaker stood together. Jace stepped forward. Then it's time for something new, he said. No more chains, Evelyn followed him. No more thrones, she added. Only guardianship. They placed their hands on the center of the forge. A wave of light spread out, not destroying, not conquering, but waking. Across the galaxy, hidden temples opened. Long silent relics hummed again. Forgotten people felt hope, but not everyone was happy. High above, in a hidden star fortress, Widow Blade watched through ancient screens. She gritted her teeth. The chainbreaker has taken the forge, she whispered, and the girl is no longer chained. One of her soldiers stepped closer. What are your orders, Lady Blade? Her eyes narrowed. Let the galaxy see them first, she said. Let them believe in peace. Then we strike. Back in the forge, Jace and Evelyn sat beside each other. The light around them faded into soft stars. The ancient voice spoke once more. So be it. The throne is not taken. It is shared. Let the age of balance begin. Jace looked at Evelyn. Do you think we're ready? She smiled, tired but strong. No, she said. But we're willing, Jace chuckled. Willing sounds more honest than ready. The forge began to lower them back to the planet. But something had changed in both of them. They could still feel the echo. But it no longer burned. It pulsed with them. Like a second heartbeat, Jace was no longer just a human. He was the chainbreaker, a living reminder that the strongest chains are not the ones made of metal, but the ones we choose to wear. Evelyn was no longer just a half-blood. She was the bridge between two worlds, two powers, two truths, not a weapon, not a prisoner, but a leader. As they stepped back onto the silver grass of the planet, the sky above them glowed with soft lights. Messages came in from rebel ships, lost colonies, ancient allies. Everyone wanted to talk, everyone wanted to believe. Jace looked at her and said, You ready to talk to the galaxy? Evelyn took a breath. I'm ready to rewrite it. And so they stood, not as rulers, not as warriors, but as two souls who had broken the oldest chains of all, the chain of fear, the chain of silence, the chain of you don't belong. Together, they whispered one final promise to the stars. No more chains, and far away even the echo smiled.